whatever do, welcome back to today's Sunday. Beautiful day outside. I am just going to do a little bit of work today before I go for my bike ride. Don't be missing that. Been waiting for that for a long time. The weather's finally turning, a little different than last weekend when we had a big snowstorm here in April, middle of April. It's now April 22nd actually. Okay, next steps. Recap on just haven't done much lately, kind of been busy with other stuff. So just the last couple of days, 2 days ago, I did perform the open heart surgery on the engine that's going into the car. Replaced the intermediate shaft bearing here. I'll be honest, I was a little bit intimidated. I have done some research online and reading up all kinds of articles on the intermediate shaft bearing. Intimidated, yes I was, but follow the steps, have the right tools. It's actually very easy. Yes, I said very easy. If you have the right tools, you follow the procedure, it's a very easy job to change the intermediate shaft bearing. So if you're thinking about doing it, you have to have some kind of mechanical aptitude, of course, to be able to do it. And there's lots of information online. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but I'm very mechanically inclined. I've been working on cars when I was younger for many years. Go back at it now, but it's not that difficult to change that intermediate shaft bearing. That said, the one I took out was actually in perfect condition, which is a very good sign. Changed the oil, there was no metal shavings of any kind in the sump, in the oil filter. Now taking the bearing out, there was nothing wrong with it. It had a dual roll bearing in it. Got the $189 Pelican Parts replacement kit. Comes with everything because you replace a dual with a single, and comes with all the clips and hardware and spacers. So it's very comprehensive kit depending for the application. The only thing I didn't like with the kit, I wished it actually had a diagram of how all the parts and pieces go together. I did go on their website, go through the procedure, which is a little convoluted and could probably use some updating, because they're talking about locking the engine, then they're talking about turning the engine to line up those set screws, and at the end of the day I don't think I needed the set screws. When I tap the bearing in, I think this pushes that whole shaft back just that little bit, that the set screws weren't even touching the intermediate shaft. So I'll give you a little recap what I've learned from the different information I got online, because they're talking about locking the engine and they're talking about putting set screws in. I locked the engine and put the set screws in. So yeah, these are these two little tools used to lock in the cams. You just put them by the cam. So you hold there, you take one of the bolts out of your clutch, and you lock the engine. But before you do that, you have to put the engine on top that center, and you lock it with this pin through the pulley on your crankshaft pulley. There's a teardrop hole in it. You put it through that, and it's at about 11 o'clock. You lock the engine that way, and you lock the cams with this, which is very easy. Engine's locked, and you take the timing chain tensioners off. One down here and one over here, right? So now there's no tension on the chain, and the reason for that, if you left the tension on the chain and you pulled that cover off, there's so much tension on the intermediate shaft, it's going to pull it either which way, and you want to try to avoid that. So take the timing chain tensions right out. I put the set screws through here, like it says on the instructions, and it came with the kit. And at the end of the day, I don't think I needed them. Then I pulled the cover off. What happened then is actually, this is good to have the tools. I don't own stock, so this is my first LN engineering anything. This bearing puller is really nice. So much thought put into it. It's really nice material. So what's interesting, like I don't have a lot of experience with the intermediate shafts here, but it's pretty simple. You take this threaded shaft here that has also an internal thread that goes onto the stud of the intermediate shaft bearing, but it was a wrong size. It was too big actually. But what LN gives you, they give you this adapter. There's two adapters in here that here, I'll take out the bag, so I'll show you. So this adapter then goes onto here, just like such, And now I have the proper thread. I need that for, let's take out the old bearing here. So just think of this bearing is sitting inside intermediate shaft. Then you thread on this adapter like such. So now put all the thread all the way in, right? You want as much thread in that stud as you can. Well, then that cylinder sits on the case, on your engine case, and then what you then, just straight. This is just for purposes so you can wrap your head around exactly the whole process of this. It's not that difficult, right? So this is sitting on your engine, just like this, nice and tight. I think 12 millimeter here, and whatever size that is here. And then you just keep tightening this to hold the shaft in place. And then you just keep tightening this, and tightening, and tightening, and then it will come out. Poof, this pops out so easy. So, and the difference here, let me show you another thing here. So the difference between a single and dual row bearing is that the dual row has the internal C-clip here. You see that? See that? I can push it down. So you do not need to remove this. You can't. Well, when the bearing's in, you can't even see that, right? So it just pops out. You just pull on it, poof, pops out. And the replacement one is, well, it's already in the car, so I can show you. It's about 2/3 of the size of this in thickness. Like I said, a single roll. But look at the condition this is in. This is actually in beautiful condition. There's nothing wrong with it. And I haven't heard that you can actually replace the dual roll, so this looks like it's the original bearing, which is a good sign for the rest of the engine. So then, bearing, new bearing installation tool, set it on like this, put both in the freezer overnight, or I think I have it in for like 7 hours, put it in the morning, installed in the afternoon, and it was plenty cold. I brought it in the garage and frost built up right around the bearing right away, so I took it off. And so I opted to not put the nut on the bearing when installing it. My fear was if our bearing's gonna spin, but if it spins, I can't get the nut off, then I am in big hoop, because then the bearing is in, I can't get it out. So anyway, I did not put the nut on, it worked just fine. I tapped it in nice and gently with a rubber mallet. It went in super slick. I kind of had this conception that, because it was the way the bearing looks, I thought more that this bearing goes in and out kind of like a wheel bearing and it's going to be very stubborn, but it's definitely not the case. So it came out very easy, went in very easy, so it's not as difficult as everybody makes it out to be. So do not be afraid to try to tackle this yourself if you have some mechanical aptitude and you've worked on cars before. No problem. That's just a quick overview on the IMS bearing. I should maybe have a little bit more comprehensive video on this, because unfortunately I haven't seen anything online myself. The intermediate shaft bearing for me was a little bit more of a precise operation, that I didn't really want to buy these cheap Taiwan tools. Not saying they're not gonna work, but it's kind of unfortunate because LN Engineering seems to have come up with this concept of how to replace these intermediate shaft bearings, because Porsche, to get the intermediate shaft bearing, you have to buy the whole intermediate shaft, and I'm sure as you're aware, to install an intermediate shaft in a Porsche Boxster or any Porsche Boxster engine, you need to split the case, and when you need to split the case, that essentially means rebuild an engine. So this is a pretty good alternative. Alrighty, gonna get ready now to pull the bearing out. This feels like open heart surgery. I got my tools ready, got the engine ready, pulled the covers off already. Not that I needed to pull both off, I only actually needed to pull the bottom ones off. Those are the ones for the exhaust cams. So this is a 5-chain engine. The 3-chain engines, you have to lock both the exhaust and the, both the intake and the exhaust. So on the 5-chain engine, you would have to lock the exhaust and the intake cams, and you can't actually lock the intake cams here. There's no notch in there. So the first thing I'm going to do, well, first thing I've already done, I've removed the exhaust and the intake cam covers. I already knew that this was a 5-chain engine, so I only needed the bottom. But two things. How am I to know if somebody else did not put a different engine into that car at some point? So for whatever, $4 for a one cap, I don't think it matters. Plus, one of the cam locking tools, it looks like I have to take the top cover up anyway. Before I install the cam locking tools, I need to lock the engine at top dead center, and that's cylinder number 1 at top dead center. So let's hop right to that. I have my trusty cam locking tool here, just a pin basically, and I just have a piece of wire here. This actually came from a little flag. Spark plug is removed here. I am just gonna put that in to feel where the piston is. Actually, it's very primitive, I know. I'm looking teardrop hole on the pulley here. A teardrop hole on the pulley, and that should be at approximately 11 o'clock. Now, as far as I know, we can get that at 11 o'clock and it not be a top dead center. Maybe I'm wrong. Yep, top dead center. Okay, let's just double check. Use my 24mm socket or wrench, whatever you have. You're looking for the teardrop hole, and I'm just gonna go once around here. Actually, if you have the engine out, and you can actually see back here where the hole is actually going to be. So about 11 o'clock here. Bring it up. I think I just went a little bit too far. Bring it back just a little bit. And here it is. Okay, engine is locked, top dead center. You see the cam. See the notched out part here is vertical, and this is where the locking tool is going to sit. Same thing in the back of the engine, same way here. Zero, let's take this smaller cam locking tool. See, this fits. It's locked in. Put my little trusty screw in here, a bolt. So let's tighten that down. Let's put a death grip on it, just nice and firm, not too tight. Okay, so this is locked down. Let's go to the back of the engine. Put another locking bracket back of the engine. Okay, nice and snug. Okay, so now the engine's locked up. I locked the engine to number 1 cylinder top dead center with the pin to the front pulley. Locked both the cams for cylinder 1 to 3 and 4 to 6. Now the engine's locked up. Next step is to remove the timing chain tensioners, 2 of them. There is one here and one here, right? So that's the next step. So just using some brake parts cleaner that really cuts the grease. Just don't want any debris to go in there, so I don't have to. Okay, let's do this. That was spring loaded. Nice brand spanking new Ziploc bag. That's where I'm gonna put this sucker in. Do I need new washes? Oh, so nice. Everything was in good shape. This is what the left timing chain tensioner looks like. And this is what the lower right tensioner looks like. There's a little plunger in here. It doesn't matter how it looks. know what? That's it for the open heart surgery on the Porsche Boxster engine is about to begin. Got all my necessary tools lined up here. Got my 24 or 15/16 wrench, 12mm, a 10mm socket, 13mm socket, screwdriver, number 304 Allen key, set screws, and the LN Engineering bearing extraction tool. Okay, let's go. Let's get this done. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm gonna remove the 3 bolts holding the cover on. Those are 10mm. So we should be good to go here. This motorcycle jack is a very good alternative to an engine stand. Okay, so now I'm going to look through the screw holes and pretend like I can see shit. I can't see anything, and I do not know if I can put the set screws through here. I'm actually not totally clear on the instructions. Because one set of instructions says lock the engine, another set of instructions doesn't talk about locking the engine but putting the set screws in that Pelican Parts provided for the IMS kit. So theoretically I'm thinking it's good to lock the cams up, and it's good to have the option to put the set screws to keep the intermediate shaft in place, so when I pull the bearing out it doesn't move. So the problem with that is I can't really see through here, through these holes, to see if the intermediate shaft, these holes line up with the shaft or with the holes in the shaft. If it lines up with the holes in the shaft, then I can't put the set screws in. And I can't turn the engine like the instructions say because the engine is locked. So with the flashlight I couldn't really see because I can't see through here. So what I've had this kicking around for I don't know how many years. Remember the good old mag lights? And I have this little fiber optic cap that goes on top of the mag light. You can probably use any kind of flashlight as long as this fits over. And turn the flashlight on, and lo and behold, there's a little bit of light here, and this is all I need. So now I'm gonna go take this little fiber optic probe. I can just stick it in here, and it's just enough light. I can see that there is metal behind. I can actually just poke it right through, and when I poke it right through I can feel resistance, which tells me that I am lining up with solid parts of the intermediate shaft, which is actually good news. So this $189 US intermediate shaft update kit from Pelican Parts includes these 3 set screws, number 3 Allen key, hex key, and I am gonna drive these through until either until I hit the intermediate shaft or until I go past the cover here. Well, it has to go past the cover, but you have to be very careful you don't go beyond that, because if this falls in, then it's a bad day. Okay, I think I'm through here. Okay, now I've hit the intermediate shaft. I'm gonna do this 2 more times. Like I said, this feels like open heart surgery. Okay, so where am I now? I don't want this to drop. If this drops in, then this is a really bad day for everybody. Okay, it's hitting. I'm not tightening anything yet. Okay, last one. Last but not least. Okay, I just went through the cover. Now just past the cover, and now I am hit metal. There we go. Okay, so now all 3 set screws are through. Lots of space. I'm not going to drive them all the way through. I'm not going to be falling in, so I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on this. Equal pressure. I don't want to put too much on here. I don't want to break anything. Again, that would be a bad day. Okay.
because I could reef on this probably all I want, but I'm not going to. So this is probably tight enough. Alright, so the next step, I'm going to remove this 13mm nut holding the cover on. Let's see if it comes off. No, that's definitely, I can feel it spinning. That's not coming off. Let's see, maybe this. No. No, that's not coming off. So my 13mm open end wrench. Let's see how we're gonna do this here. Okay, here. Lefty loosey, righty tighty, remember that, okay? Not sure this is gonna work. Looks pretty rusted, but I put some penetrating fluid on this. Let's see. Oh, that's easy. Wow. It's very easy. Who would have thought it? Okay. This nut is off. Now I need to tap this cover and turn it slightly so I can get leverage behind here, but it looks like I have leverage here, so I don't think I need to tap it, but you know what? Let's follow instructions here, okay? Okay, now it turns, so it tells me it's not seized. Now how do I get this out? Can't see get any leverage on this one side here, just on here, these two sides. As I'm trying to pry it, just moves back in its place. There's nothing here, so let's try moving this again. Okay, it's loose, so clearly the seal is holding it in. And I don't have the right kind of pry bar for this, so I have screwdrivers, which are clearly not doing the trick. Oh yeah, this looks good. Got a little oil catch thingy down there, if I may. A little oil catch bucket. Let's hope I can catch this puppy. Boom! Cover is out and still looks beautiful. Okay, let's take a peek in here. What do we have here? Some rubber gasket material. Let's take a look at this bearing. Take a look here. The bearing actually looks really good. Again, completely uneducated here. I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like, except the seal is still on it. No metal, no bearings. There's oil on the front and around it, so it looks quite good. I don't know, looks good to me. Next step is to take this puppy out. Let me wipe everything clear here. So this is, let's determine single row or dual row bearing. If I look at it, well, first of all, the shaft is not even centered here, but it looks like a dual row because I don't see a C-clip on here. I'm not a mechanic. I've never worked on these things before, but this is exactly how it looks. Let's take our trusty, beautiful... Oh, this is a problem. This is a problemo. Now how is this gonna work now? This does not go on here. I believe I know why and how. Again, I got zero instructions for this. Except, I guess that's what this stuff is for. So therefore, you have adapted here. This is gonna go on the center stud. Then I have this set screw that I'm gonna put in halfway. Then the shaft that goes into the extractor must clearly go on top of here. Okay, and engineering, beautiful tool, but put some instructions on your webpage, okay? Let's screw this on top here. All the way in. I was holding a bearing here with my finger. Okay, it's all the way in now. Put the extractor tool in here. Okay. So before I put the nut and the washer in, I'm gonna put a little bit of lubricant on it. A fret that's supposed to help. So let's do that. I don't use motor oil. Put it this way, it can't hurt, right? Put some on the washer. Just a little bit. Put it in here. Screw my nut in here. Let's hope that the center stud does not break and the bearing comes out. Wear safety glasses doing this. So I have no idea how much force I have to use here. I don't know if this broke the stud or the bearing came loose, but I'm gonna keep on turning and hope that the bearing is coming out here. It's getting lighter. Oh, yes, yes. It has given birth. Hallelujah! Halle frickin' Lulia. A little bit more oil down there than I was hoping for. Well, and engineering, you've come through. Let's see what we got here. Everything looks pretty spiffy. There's some oil built up in there, which I don't know if it's supposed to be in there or not, but it's in there. Oh, there's that C-clip you're talking about, internal. Okay, I see. So, this looks like a dual roll bearing. But sure, I can't compare it to the new bearing because that is currently in the freezer getting smaller. Alright, not too bad, eh? I'm going to keep this bearing for no other reason than this is the culprit of so much heartache in the Porsche world. But also, if I decide to sell this car, it's good to show the original bearing. It's in great shape. Alrighty, so now getting ready to install the bearing now. I've cleaned out the oil. Everything seems tickety-boo. All my parts are all laid out except for the bearing that's still in the freezer. I'm gonna get that momentarily. But first, I'm going to replace the seal in the cover. I got a nice new seal with the IMS kit. Going to have a little pick tool here and see if it's actually going to work. Kind of pry in there and gently pull it off. Wow, it's kind of stuck there. I'll put that in the garbage pile over there. I'll take a clean rag here and just wipe the groove clean and try not to drop this cover in the process. I have some dust and lint-free Kim wipes here. Just get any kind of dust that could possibly be in there out. And install the new 3-groove gasket. And just like that, a new sealing O-ring gasket is installed. Okay, so I feel like I'm doing heart surgery here. So again, I'm going to take my lint-free little rag here and wipe everything nice and clean in here. I have all my parts laid out here, and I'm going to go and get the bearing now. Actually, just before I get the bearing, I am just going to use my industrial heat gun here, or my industrial hair dryer, and gonna put a little bit of heat on this shaft for the obvious reasons that the shaft should theoretically expand just a little bit, while the bearings in the freezer is going to contract just a little bit, and hopefully the installation is going to be that much easier. Probably does nothing, but hey, doesn't hurt. Okie dokie, here we go. Installation tool. I personally don't think it's a good idea to put that nut on, but what do I know? I am not going to put that nut on. I just think it's not going to come off. Okay, so clean. I'm going to wipe the frost that's building up off. Closer look. Wow, wow, that is freezing. Ooh. My rubber mallet here. Tap away. I'm turning back now. There we go. Like butter. Like butter. That looks like it's at the end. Just gonna tap it just a little bit more. Make sure it's at the end here. Alright, so as you've just witnessed, let's see a closer look here. Bearing is in, right? Spacer, so the bearing is in. I put the spacer in because I'm going from a double row bearing to a single row bearing. Put the spacer all, just like that. Okay, put the spacer in. And just to make sure it's in far enough, the spur lock clip is going to go in. So I can put my fingernail in that groove where the spur lock clip is going to go. So that clearly tells me I am in all the way. So now I would imagine we start off on one. Okay, let's put the one side in, I think, and then we work our way around. No, is that fair? Is that a fair guess, you think? Right? What do you think? Is that in? Inspection. I would hate to take that clip out because it is in here, and yeah, it is in here, and it is not coming out. So, okay. Some spins. The clip is in. Okay, so looks like I am ready to now install the cover with. I'm not ready to install the cover because this is a cover and it comes with a new spacer. Let's just make sure we clean this. Just all the dust is off it. This gives you a spacer wipe. Here's the cover. Put the spacer on. Remember, we're going from a double row bearing to a single row bearing here, right? I'm gonna install this the way it came, and I remember this because it was the writing was at the bottom here. So let's see how this lines up. So apparently, I can gently tap this. Now I don't want to make sure. I'm sure that I don't tap that bolt inside. I'm going to be doing this exercise all over again. Okay, nice and gently. Nice and gently. So, put a nut on it. So now I can tap a bit more. Look at that. So now I'm going to take this nut off again. It's all the way in. I have to make sure it's all lined up now, because now I'm going to remove the set screws. Tap it over a little bit and a little bit more, and it looks like the set screws should come out. I tried my old faithful little flashlight here. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Well, that's oh, I know what happened. They're very loosey-goosey right now. That's probably happened when I tapped the bearing in. Must have somehow pushed the shaft back just a little bit. Oh. Okay, was I done? I'm going to install the supplied 3 bolts to just make everything nice and snug, and then I remove them and torque the new bolts that came with it. Not sure why, but whatever. Okay. One more thing I have to figure out here. Let's wipe this clean here. And what I have to figure out here is which spacer goes on here. Let's see. Well, that's easy enough. It's not this big one. So the wrong spacer is in the wrong package. So we have this little O-ring here and the spacer that's going to go over top like this. Let's put this O-ring on here. I am assuming the spacer goes over the O-ring like such. And now we are going to install our trusty nut here. Not a lot of space once I tighten that down. It's kind of weird. Okay, now I am taking these bolts out and replace them with the new bolts, the proper bolts that have this micro encapsulated sealant on there. Now I'm gonna move over to my trusty torque wrench I actually use on my bicycles, and this one is supposed to be torqued down to 11 Newton meters. Not very tight. It's not very tight at all, actually. Okay, that's done. Let's see if I can tighten the center bolt. Yes, it is actually tightening. So that is going to be tightened to 24 Newton meters. And it happens that this trusty little bicycle torque wrench goes to 24 Newton meters. I'm really lucky. There we go. Intermediate shaft bearing replaced and installed. What's left now is reinstalling the timing chain tensioners, and I don't have any replacement gaskets for them, so I'm just assuming they're gonna go back in. Probably a very bad idea. attempting to install chain tensioners. This will be the easiest thing to do. Okay, I'm not going to tighten it all the way. I'll put the other side on now. Nothing to it, right? Again, torque specs later. That's done. I should be able to, I'm going to remove the cam blocks and turn the engine over. The moment of truth. Okay, ready? Looks good, beautiful.